storage methods. Basically, there are three storage methods in Android. There are three storage methods in Android. One is you can store the data in shared preferences. You can store the data. There are three storage methods in Android. One is shared preferences, SQLite database, and the third thing is files. You can maintain the data in files. You can maintain the data. Files means you can maintain the data in XML file. You can maintain the data, or in JSON file. You can maintain the data. Okay. So these are the three storage methods in Android. You can maintain the data in shared preferences, or you can maintain the data in SQLite database, or you can maintain the data in files. When you can maintain the data in XML file or in JSON file, you can maintain the data. Okay. So these are the three storage methods in Android. These are the three storage methods in Android. Okay. So let's see the first one. What is the first one? Shared preferences. So put a heading. Shared preferences. Okay, what is my shared preferences? So shared preferences is one of the storage method in Android. By using shared preferences, we can maintain the data in a key comma value pairs. So shared preferences, in short I'll term as a SPF. Shared preferences is used to maintain the data in a key comma value pairs. Shared preferences is used to maintain the data in a key comma value pairs, meaning if you want to store a value, if you want to store shared preferences is used to maintain the data in a key comma value pairs, meaning if you want to store a value, if you want to store, what you have to specify, you have to specify a key, you have to specify. Okay, so for each and every value we have to specify a key, we have to specify, is used to maintain the data in a key comma value pairs. Okay, next, there is an interface, called get. Shared preferences is an interface. There is an interface called shared preferences. There is an interface called shared preferences. This shared preferences interface is used to manage the shared preferences. There is an interface name. There is an interface called shared preferences is an interface name. So by using this interface, you can manage these shared preferences. You can manage. Okay. So there is a method called get shared preferences. Is a method. There is a method called get shared preferences. There is a method called get shared preferences method. Get shared preferences method is used to get the object of. There is a method called get shared preferences is a method. Get shared preferences is a method. This get shared preferences method is used to get the object of shared preferences. Okay, this get shared preferences is a method. This get shared preferences is a method. By using this method, we can get the object of shared preferences class object. You can get by using this get shared preferences method, we can get the object of what shared preferences class object. You can get by using this method. Okay, meaning if you want to work with shared preferences, so we had to get the object for shared preferences class object. We had to create is equals to. So get shared preferences is a method. Get shared preferences is a method which is used to get the object of shared preferences. Total we had to specify two parameters. We had to specify for this method. Total we had to specify what? Two parameters we have to specify for this one. One is One is the shade preferences name. First parameter is nothing but the shade preferences name you have to specify in the first parameter. This is the first. Get shade preferences is a method. First parameter you have to specify the shade preferences name you have to specify in the first parameter. First parameter you have to specify what? The shade preferences name you have to specify in the first parameter. And second parameter you have to specify the mode of the shade preferences. First parameter is what? The shade preferences name. Second parameter is mode of that particular database. So here we'll specify mode will specify that is context dot mode underscore private. Get the shade preferences object by calling get shade preferences method. So first parameter had to specify the shade preferences name we had to specify in the first parameter, and second parameter is the mode of the shade preferences. Okay, context dot mode underscore private. Okay, so there are few possible parameters are there in the second parameter, like context dot mode underscore private, mode underscore readable, mode underscore writable, but all are deprecated. Basically now one possibility that is context dot mode underscore private, meaning if you specify this one as a private, the data is only specific to your applications only. Other applications they cannot access the data from your application. If you specify the mode as private, what the other applications they cannot access the data. Okay, next. So by using above object, meaning this shade preferences object. By using above object, I mean the shade preferences object. By using above object, only we can read the data from. By using above object, that is shade preferences. Only we can read the data from. Only we can read the data from. Only we can read the data from. Only we can read the data from shade preferences. By using this object, by using this shade preferences object, only we can read the data. That's it. Only we can read the data from shade preferences. To write the data into shade preferences, to write the data into shade preferences, to write the data into shade preferences, additionally we had to create an object file. Additionally, we had to create an object file. Shade preferences.editor. So this by using this shade preferences object, only we can read the data. That's it. We cannot write the data into shade preferences. For writing the data into shade preferences, additionally we had to create an object for which class? Shade preferences.editor class object we had to create. Okay, let's create the object for shade preferences.editor class. Let's create the object for shade preferences.editor. Shade preferences.editor. Speed is equals to shade preferences dot. There is a method called edit is a method. There is a method called edit is a method which is used to get the object of shade preferences.editor. Shade preferences.edit is a method which is used to get the object of shade preferences.editor class object you can get. Okay. So now for inserting the data into this shade preferences, shade preferences editor object dot put is a method. Put. So we have to specify two parameters. One is a key. Second parameter is what? Value. After inserting the data, we had to call. Finally, we had to call the commit method. We had to call. After inserting the data, finally we had to call what? Commit method we had to call finally. So here, shade preferences editor dot put x. So this x means nothing but data type here. See, x means nothing but what? It's a data type. So we had to specify what type of data we are inserting. This X means it's a data type. X means what? It's a data type. So yeah, we had to specify what type of data you are inserting. First, get the object for shared preferences dot editor class. Because by using shared preferences only we can read the data. For writing the data, we had to create an object for this editor class object you had to create. Okay. This is for writing. Okay, fine. For example, if you want to read the data, use this shared preferences object. Shared preferences object dot get. Specify the type here. What type of data we are reading. For example, it's a string type of data. We had to specify get string, get boolean, get float. Okay. So we had to specify what type of data we are reading. Get x. Shared preferences name. So you had to specify key, you had to specify the first parameter. First parameter you had to specify the key, and second parameter you had to specify the default value you had to specify in the second parameter. This method, this shared preferences dot get x method is used to read the data from shared preferences. Method is used to read shared preferences. The shared preferences dot get methods is used to read the data from shared preferences. See, we have to specify two parameters. We have to specify. One is the key, and second parameter is the default value. Meaning, if there is a key is already available, if there is some value is available with this key, if there is some value is available with this key, then you will get the actual value you will get. Otherwise, you will get the default value you will get. I'll repeat again. If value is available with the specified key, then you will get the actual value. Otherwise, you will get the default value you will get. Okay. Next, finally, so internally, shared preferences will maintain. Internally, shared preferences will maintain the data in a XML file. Internally, shared preferences will maintain the data in a XML file. It will maintain the data. So internally it will store the data in a XML file. It will store the data internally. Okay. Internally, shared preferences will maintain the data in a XML file. We can explore the XML file. Using a tool called ADM. ADM is termed as Android Device Monitor. ADM is termed as what? Android Device Monitor. Internally, shared preferences will maintain the data in XML file. We can explore that XML file. We can explore using a tool called what? ADM, Android Device Monitor. Okay, so we'll see this one also, how to work with this ADM. There is a tool called ADM in Android Device Monitor. In this tool, you can find a folder called data is a folder. In this data folder, you can find one more folder called data, Android Device Monitor, data. In data folder, you can find one more folder called data. In this data folder, you can find a folder with the package name. You can find a folder with package name. You can find a folder. Now, inside this package, inside that particular package name, you can find a folder called shared preferences. A folder name, shared preferences. In this shared preferences folder, you can find an XML file. You can find here. Basically, this is a path in Android Device Monitor. Okay, in Android Device Monitor tool, data is a folder name. In data folder, you can find one more folder called data. Next, after that, you can find a folder with the package name. Okay, in that particular package, so specify the XML file. Meaning you need to specify any XML file. So 1 second. So basically internally it will maintain the data, it will maintain internally in a XML file, it will maintain the data internally. So we can explore that XML file. I can explore by using a tool called what? Android Device Monitor tool. I can explore. Okay. So now we'll create a simple application. Now we'll create a simple application. We'll create for demonstrating this shared preferences concept. Now we'll create a simple application for demonstrating this shared preferences concept. See, it's one of the most important topic. In few places you'll get a requirement of storing the data. If you have a requirement of storing the data, one of the option for us is what? Shared preferences is one of the option. Okay. See, my requirement is I want to design a login form. I want to design. I want to create a simple login form. I want to create. Okay. Let's take this initial screen. In the first screen, I want to display this message. I want to display. Just give me a minute. I want to create two text boxes. I want to create. One is for username, and one more thing is for password. Username and password, and I want to create two buttons. I want to create here. One is a login button, and second thing is register button. So I want to create two buttons. I want to create. So one is login, and one more thing is register. Login and register. So here, enter the username. User is going to enter the name here in this text box. Okay. Enter password. Enter username. Enter password. And here we'll create two buttons. We'll create. One is login and register. Login and register. Okay, this is the first screen. Okay, so when user select the register button, my requirement is I want to navigate to registration screen. I want to navigate. This is what my requirement. When user select the register button, navigate to what? Navigate to registration screen. We know already how to navigate from one screen to another screen by using intents concept. By using intents concept, we'll navigate from one activity to another activity, right? Okay. So here, when user select the register button, navigate to one more activity called registration activity. So here, let's create a simple form like with some basic fields like what is the name, what is the password. Okay. I want to create a button called register. Okay. So now here, when user selects the register button, my requirement is I want to store the data into database. I want to store the data. When user select the register button, my requirement is store the data in shared preferences. Here, when user select the register button, store the data into database. When user select what? So when user select the register button, store the data into database. Store the data into database. So when user select the register button, store the data into database. Okay, so when user select the register button here, store the data into what? Into database. I mean database means here it's nothing but shared preferences. Store the data into a database. Database means nothing but one of the database in Android is what? Shared preferences is one of the database. I mean store the data into shared preferences. Okay. Next, when user select the login button, check these credentials are available in the shared preferences or not. When user select this login button, check whether these details are available in the shared preferences or not. If yes, data is available in the shared preferences. If the data is available in shared preferences, if the data is available in shared preferences, will show a message to the user, that is the data is available in a shared preferences will show a message to the user. One of the database in Android is what? Shared preferences is one of the database in Android. Okay. So if the data is available in the shared preferences, what are the data user is given, will show a message will show to the user, that is success. Or the data is not available in the shared preferences, will show a message to the user, that is invalid user. Okay, this is application requirement. So this is the first activity. We had to create. So when user select the register button, navigate to the registration screen. Here after the registration is done, store the data into shared preferences. And when user clicks the login button, check this user given details. The username and password is available in the shared preferences or not. If yes, will display a toast message, a success or valid user. In case of false, will display message will display to the user, that is invalid user message will display. Okay, so let's see how to work with this shared preferences concept. So we'll get a sample application and create. So most important topic, in a lot of places you'll get a requirement of working with shared preferences for storing the data. Okay. Okay, let's create a project. Let's start a new Android Studio project. Start a new Android Studio project. Specify the project name here. I'm creating a project called SPF EX is a project name I specified. Shared preferences EX is a project name I specified. SPF EX. Shared preferences example. Okay, click on next. So take an empty activity, finish. It's taking some time to load. So first we have activity XML file. Okay. So first we'll design this user interface. We'll design. Let's take first we'll design this screen. Let's take main activity. Okay. So first we'll design this screen. We'll design this login screen is there, right? First we'll design this screen. We'll design. Okay. Here we'll take the main UI group as linear layout is the main UI group I'm taking. I'm taking the main UI group as what? Linear layout is the main UI group I taken. We don't require this tools attribute. Width and height is required. Match parent and match parent. For linear layout, additionally we had to configure an attribute. We had to configure additionally. That is orientation is the attribute. I specified vertical. I specified the orientation. Okay, orientation I specified is what? Vertical I specified. Now inside this a linear layout vertical orientation. I want to create two edit text components. I want to create. One is a match parent and wrap. Let's configure the ID for this. Let's configure an ID for this. I configured the ID. ET1 is the ID I configured. I configured the ID for this one as what? ET1 is the ID I configured. Edit text file. ET1 is the ID I configured. Okay. Next, below this, so we had to create one more text box. We had to create for password. 82. So configure a hint here for this edit text component. Configure the hint. Enter username is one thing. Next, enter password. Enter username and enter password. We created two edit text components. We created enter username and enter password. Okay. Next, below this, I want to create a button component. I want to create a button component below this. Width is match parent, occupy the entire screen width, and height is specified. Wrap content, and so configure the text. What is the text you want to display? I want to display the text I want to display as. First thing is login is one thing. Let's configure the click attribute. On click attribute. On click is equals to login. So like this, I want to create one more button. I want to create, that is register. Match parent, wrap content, and what is the text you want to display on top of this? Text register. Let's configure an on click attribute. On click. Okay, these are the UI we had to create. So we had to create two edit text components. We had to create two edit text components. We created. Next, after that, we created two buttons. We created login and register. We created two buttons. We created login and register. When user clicks the login button, so first we have to check these two details, meaning this username and password is available in the shared preferences or not. When user selects the register button, okay, so navigate to the registration activity. When user select the register button, navigate to what? Navigate to the registration activity. We will navigate. Okay, let's take the resource layout. So create one more XML file for registration. Layout, a new XML file. I'm specifying the XML file name as register is XML file name I specified. I specified the XML file name as what? Register is XML file name. I create XML file called register. Okay. So now in this XML file, this registration XML file, in this registration XML file, I want to create this UI. I want to create match parent, wrap content. Let's configure an ID for this. ID. ET1 is ID. Let's configure hint also. Hint. Enter username. Enter username. So we create four edit text components we created. One is the enter username, enter password. So I want to maintain some details. For example, I want to maintain what is a email address. What is the email address of the user and what is the phone number? Okay, so four edit text components are required: a username, password, email address, and mobile number. We create four edit text components, and finally we had to create a button called register is a button. Let's create a button called what? Register. Match parent, wrap content, and what is the text you want to display on this? Text you want to have display as register. Register is a text. On click is equals to register is a method. On click is equals to what? Register is a method. So now we had to create an activity you had to create. So now UI part is done. The registration screen UI part is done. So username, password, email, phone number, and register. So this we already configured the click event we already configured called register. We already configured the method name also we already configured. Now this we had to create a Java file we had to create for this screen. For this registration also we had to create what? A Java file we had to create for this registration. So let's create a Java file for this. A new Java class. Register activity is a Java file. Register activity. Create a class called register activity extends activity class. This is the first create a class. Create subtype of activity class. Create a class with subtype of activity is a class name. Okay. I hope you remember the steps. What are the steps to create an activity? We had to override the onCreate method. We had to override, and we had to set that XML file. Separately, we create XML file for this one, right? Set content view art dot layout dot register. Meaning for the second screen, okay. By default, we got the first screen. We got by default. So we created this user interface. We created in this. Next, after that, we created one more screen. We created called register. We created one more screen called register. Creating an activity means nothing but if you want to create a separate activity, if you want to create, we had to create three files. You had to create one XML file. You had to create and one Java file. You had to create. Creating a separate screen means nothing but we had to create three files. You had to create. One is an XML file, Java file, and manifest.xml. These three files you had to create. Creating a separate activity, I mean one more screen means we had to create an XML, we had to create XML file, Java file, and manifest.xml. These three files you had to create. Creating a separate activity means you had to create these three files you had to create. Okay. So we created XML file we created for this registration screen, Java file we created, but these two things are not sufficient to consider as an activity. XML file and Java file creation is not sufficient to consider as an activity class. You had to configure that activity, you had to configure in the manifest.xml. We had to configure the activity we had to configure in manifest.xml file. Then only it will consider as an activity. Otherwise, it will not consider as an activity class, it will not consider. Okay. So now let's see here. We created a Java file we created, but we had to configure the registration activity we had to configure in the manifest.xml. Open Android manifest.xml. So in this manifest.xml, inside the application tag, we had to configure the activity we had to configure inside the application tag. Activity Android colon name is equals to registration activity. Activity Android colon name is equals to what? Register activity is the activity name. So I want to call what? Registration screen I want to call. Registration activity we configured. Okay. So now here the first thing when user select the first screen, what you'll get the first screen. You'll get this main activity screen. We'll get first. We'll get this main activity screen. In the XML file, we configured two buttons. We configured and even we configured the click event also. We configured on click is equals to login and on click is equals to register. We already configured the click event. We already configured, right? Okay. So here the main activity.java. Let's create the two methods. One is public void. One is login is one method. which is taking the view object as an input parameter, which is taking the view object as an input parameter. And one more thing is, next thing is register, login and register, which is taking the view object as a input, login, and second thing is register, which is taking the view object as a input parameter. Okay, so now here when user select the register button, when user selects the register button, I want to navigate to the registration screen. I want to navigate here. When user select the register button, navigate to the registration screen. Write the logic to navigate to registration screen when user select the register button. I'll repeat again. When user select the register button, write the logic to navigate to what? Registration screen will navigate when user click the register button. Okay. Okay. So here first write that logic. Start active. First create the intent object. We already discussed in the earlier sessions how to navigate from one screen to another screen by using intents concept. Intent I is equals to new intent. I dot set component is a method. Set component is a method. Specify the object of component name class. Specify the object of component name class. First parameter we had to specify context. I'm specifying this. I'm specifying in the current class. What is our current class? Main activity is the current class. From this class to which class you want to navigate, you have to specify the class name. You have to specify. I want to navigate to register activity. I want to navigate register activity dot class. Register activity dot class. And start activity of intent object. Start activity of what? Intent object. So first create the object for intent class and I dot set component. We specified the activity class name we are specifying. Register activity I want to navigate, and start activity of intent object. Start activity of intent object. Meaning by using this logic, by using these lines of code, we are navigating to the registration activity we are navigating. By using these lines of code from activity class, from main activity, we are navigating to what? We are navigating to the registration activity we are navigating. We are navigating to what? Registration activity we are navigating. Okay. So we are navigating to registration activity we are navigating. Here user is going to give some details, right? Username, password, what is the mobile number, what is the email ID. Like user is going to configure some details in this. In the next screen, user is going to configure few details. Okay, let's see here. In the main activity, from the main activity, when user clicks the register button, we are navigating to which screen? Registration activity we are navigating. In this registration activity, see, we created this user interface we created. So we taken 4 fields, we taken called username, password, email ID, and phone number, and we create a button, and even we configured the on-click attribute also we configured called register. Okay. Now in the registration activity, we had to create that method. We had to create a separate method called register, because when user clicks the register button, it's going to call this register method is going to call the registration screen. So here we created 4 edit text components we created in the XML file. In XML file, we created 4 edit text components we created in the XML file. Get that 4 edit text components into your activity. I'll repeat again. In the XML file, we created 4 edit text components we created in the XML file. So we had to get that 4 edit text components. We had to get into our activity class. We had to get. Let's initialize that edit text components. Edit text find db by id art.id.et. @81, @82, @83, and @84. Okay. Now here, when user select the register button, write the data into shared preferences. This is only the main logic. Up to now, whatever we created, there is a common logic already you know earlier. Now here, when user select the register button here, in the registration page, when user clicks the register button, write the data into shared preferences. Now we have to do this step now. When you select the register button, write the data into what? Write the data into shared preferences. Will write the data. Okay. First thing is, if you want to write the data into shared preferences, we had to create an object for shared preferences class. We had to create an object. First, we had to create the shared preferences. We had to create. Let's create the object for this shared preferences. Shared preferences SPF is equals to. There is a method called get shared preferences. Is a method get shared preferences which is used to get the object of shared preferences, which is used to get the object of what? Shared preferences. We had to specify two parameters. We had to specify for these shared preferences. One is the shared preferences name. We had to specify. One is the shared preferences name. We had to specify. I'm specifying as my PRFS, my preferences. Okay. First thing is the shared preferences name. So we are specifying the. I'm specifying the shared preferences name as my preferences. Comma second parameter is nothing but mode of the shared preferences. I'm specifying the mode as context dot mode underscore private. So private means the data is only specific to your application. Other applications they cannot read the data. Context dot mode underscore private meaning the data is only specific to that particular application only. Other applications they cannot read the data. Okay, this is the first thing. Get the object for shared preferences. That is the first thing. We given a shared preferences name we given and we specified the mode we specified. The data is specific to our application. But by using this shared preferences, only we can read the data. This method is used for reading the data or creating the shared preferences. Creating the shared preferences and read the data from shared preferences. But here, our requirement, when user clicks the register button, write the data into shared preferences. When user clicks the register button, write the data into shared preferences. For writing the data into shared preferences, additionally we had to create an object for shared preferences dot editor class object we had to create additionally. Shared preferences dot editor is equals to shared preferences dot edit is a method. Shared preferences dot editor class. Shared preferences editor is equals to shared preferences object dot edit is a method. Shared preferences object dot edit is a method which is used to get the object of shared preferences dot editor class, which is used to get the object of shared preferences dot editor class. Okay. Now here let's specify shared preferences editor dot shared preferences editor dot. There is a method called put is a method. See there it's an overloaded method. Uh, you have to specify here what type of data you're inserting, whether you're inserting string type of data, or boolean type of data, or float type of data, what type of data you're inserting. We're inserting a string type of data. Let's take put string. Give a key for this one. Give what? Give a key first, then after that specify a value. What is the value you want to insert with that key? And specifying the key as name is a key. Name is a key, and second parameter is a value. We'll get that value we'll get from et1.getText.toString. et1.getText.toString. So name, password, designation, and department. Then after that, finally we had to call shared preferences editor dot commit method. We had to call finally. Preferences editor dot commit is a method we had to call. So name, password, designation, and department. Name, password, designation, department. We'll get the values from edit text 2 component, edit text 3, and edit text 4. Components will get the values. And finally, we had to call the commit method. So once if we call the commit method, it will write the data into shared preferences. So when user select the register button, so first get the shared preferences object, but that object is only for reading purpose as well as creation purpose. For writing the data, additionally we had to create the object for shared preferences dot editor class object we had to create separately. Okay, so we are inserting the data we are inserting into shared preferences. Finally, we had to call shared preferences editor dot commit is a method for writing the data into shared preferences. Okay, now here the writing is done, meaning it will write the data into shared preferences. It will write the data. After writing the data into shared preferences, no need of displaying the screen. Correct or not? After writing the data into shared preferences, we don't need to display the screen because registration is done. We had to show the login page, we had to show again. Again, we had to show what? A login page, we had to show again when user select the register button. After completion of registration, I want to show a login screen, I want to show again. So that's why I'm calling a method called finish method. I'm calling. Basically, finish method is used to destroy the activity. Explicitly, finish method, explicitly, if you want to destroy any activity, we use a method called what? Finish method we use. So first we got the login screen, main activity. On top of we got registration screen. So when the main activity is, meaning when the registration activity is destroyed, automatically closed, automatically you'll get that main activity will be visible to the user. Okay. So here, why I'm calling this finish method, because see, after the registration is done, it's no need of displaying the registration screen. It's not required. So that's why I'm calling the finish method. I'm calling explicitly. We are destroying that registration activity. We are destroying. So automatically, you'll get that main activity will be visible to the user. Main activity will be visible to the user. Okay. So now here, registration part is done. We are done with the registration part. Okay. So once if you destroy that one, once if you destroy this registration activity, you'll get the welcome. I mean, you'll get the main activity. You'll get again. You'll get the main activity. You'll get again. So in this main activity, again we have to do the same thing. So shade preferences, get the shade preferences object. First we have to give the same name. While you are inserting the shade preferences, whatever the name you specified, while you are inserting the shade preferences, whatever the name you specified, even at the time of reading the data also, even at the time of reading the data also, we had to specify the same name we had to specify. Otherwise, it will not get the data from that particular shade preferences, it will not get the data. Okay, so get the object for shade preferences, and now we had to write the logic here. If this user given details, I mean this username and password, get the data from the user, get these details from the user, and compare this data whether this data is available in the shade preferences or not. Repeat again. Get the data from the user and check whether this data is available in the shade preferences or not. If yes, data is available in the shared preferences, we'll display a message. We'll display a toast message, we'll display like success. If the data is not available in the shared preferences, we'll display a message, invalid user message will show. Okay. So now here, when user clicks the login button, first we are getting the data we are getting from the shared preferences. I'm repeating again, we have to give the same name. If we give a separate name, if we give, then it's going to get new shade preferences. That's why whatever the name you specified while you are inserting the data, at the time of reading the data also, we have to specify the same name. Then only we can read the data from that particular shade preferences. Okay, now get the data from the user. Get the data from the user. Get the read text components. '81, '82, '83, and '84. Get the read text component. So '81 is equals to edit text of, there is a method called find view by id is a method r.id.et1. Get the read text component. Get the edit text components. Sorry, we have only two components here in the login page. Edit text 1 and edit text 2. So here we initialize the edit text components initialize. Now when user clicks the login button, this data we had to check whether the user given data is available in the shade preferences or not. But before that, first get the data from the shade preferences. String name is equals to shade preferences dot get string. Get string method is get method is used to read the data. We had to specify two parameters. We had to specify. First thing is a shade. First thing is the name of the key. Name is a key, and second parameter, what is a value? Value is nothing but if there is no value with the specified key, If there is no value with the specified key, for example, there is no any value with the key called name, then at that time you will get the default value you will get. What is the default value? No value is the default value as specified. So get the name from the user and get the password from the user. Get the name and get the password from the user. Name and get the password from the user. No value. Get the name and get the password from the password. Okay. So now here, these values are available in the shared preferences or not, we have to check. So write the logic here. If et1.getText, if et1.getText.toString, I mean the user given name, dot equals ignore case of name, I mean the user given value is equals to the name, and et2.getText.toString, et2.getText.toString equals ignore case of password. If user given name, if user given name is equals with this shared preferences name, and user given password is equals with the shared preferences password. I'll repeat again. If user given name is equals with this shared preferences name, and the user given password is equals with the shared preferences password, and then write the logic here to navigate to the welcome activity. Here, create the object for this intent class. Sorry, we thought to just display a toast message, right? Toast.makeText, get application context. Let's display a message. I'm specifying success. Length underscore long dot show is a method. Meaning the user given values are available in the shared preferences. The user given values are available in the shared preferences called success. Else, we'll display a toast message called fail message will show. Yes, I'll display a message called what? Fail. I'll repeat again. We are getting the values we are getting from the shared preferences name and shared preferences password, the values which we insert in shared preferences. And I'm comparing this data, the user given value et1.getText.toString, the user given value is available is equal to the shared preferences value or not. If yes, we're displaying a message called success. Otherwise, we are displaying a message called what? Fail message we are displaying. Okay. Now let's run the application and see. Let's run the application. Let's run the Android application in Samsung device. It's loading still. Application is loading. Okay. So app is installed. First, I'll select the register button. I'll select first. First, I'm selecting this register button. So it will navigate to registration screen. It will navigate. The registration screen. So first, we'll insert some data. We'll insert. I'm inserting what is the name. Mahesh is the name I specified, and what is the password. I specified the password as Durga is the password I specified. What is the phone number? Okay. So when you click on this register button, write the data into. I'm selecting register. I'm selecting. Once if you select this register button, write the data into shared preferences, it will write the data. It will write the data into shared preferences, it will write the data. Register is selected. So it will, registration is done. We are writing the data, we are writing into shared preferences, we are writing the data internally. Okay. And specify username and password. What is the name you given? I given the username as Mahesh. I guess password I given as a Durga, I guess. Durga is a password I given. So click on this login button. If user details are available, we got the success message we got. Meaning, what are the details you given here? What are the details you given here? The details are available in the shared preferences. If you give some wrong details, for example, I given a wrong password I given. So when you select this login button and see, we got a message called fail message we got. Because the user given values are not available in the shared preferences. Okay, this is how to maintain the data in shared preferences. We are maintaining the data, we are maintaining in a key comma value page. For storing a value, we specified a key we specified. In registration, for storing the values, we specified keys we specified, right? And while you are reading the data also, by using the keys, we are getting the values we are getting from the shared preferences. Okay, but there are few issues are there with the shared preferences. There are few issues with the shared preferences. We'll discuss what are the issues with the shared preferences and what is the need of going for SQLite database. That concept we'll discuss in the tomorrow session. Okay, so let me know if you have any queries. Do you have any queries in these shared preferences?